Welcome to the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast on Tobacco Road Sports Radio and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. As part of your Wrestling Wednesday card, I'm your host, Michael Davis. A lot happened this weekend in regards to AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door event. It was a stacked dream card that potentially brought the match of the year. We'll recap more of that on the show today, in addition to previewing this Saturday's event from the O2 Arena, WWE's Money in the Bank. Who will win the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches, as well as seeing this Civil War settled. And let's welcome to the show for the first time ever, Nicholas Mullick, right now on Drop the Mic. Nick, how are you doing, man?
Doing excellent. It's been a great week of pro wrestling. AEW Forbidden Door was awesome. I loved every bit of it. And I can't wait for Money in the Bank to come up. And it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, you know?
Dude, I've been telling everybody, like, if you are not a wrestling fan or you, like, got out of wrestling, now's the boom period. Now's when you need to come on because AEW had just an incredible pay-per-view we'll break down in a couple minutes. We'll talk about WWE's Money in the Bank, and hopefully Logan Paul does not win Money in the Bank or I've lost a really serious bet.
Oh, God. Please, no.
No. But this is really cool because my people who watched Out of Pocket this Friday would be recognizing this guy. He was on Out of Pocket for his very first, I think that was your very first Tobacco Road Sports Radio appearance, was it not?
Correct. And I had a fun time.
Dude, it was fun. You said a couple Out of Pocket things for your first time on the show.
Yeah.
But, it's okay. We'll trash Daniel Jones probably here in a couple months when, you know, the team's 0-3 and falling apart because he can't play quarterback.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. You know, I'm human. You know, we make mistakes sometimes.
Okay, let's book that appearance for week 3 for sure. But we get to talk about wrestling. You and I have wrestling in common that I legit found out about yesterday. That's super awesome. And let's get into this AEW Forbidden Door event. I broke it down kind of like taking it match by match. And so we started out with MJF and Hiroshi Tanahashi. The big jury was like, can MJF hang with New Japan's ace in Hiroshi Tanahashi in the ring? They had about 15 minutes before MJF won. How did you think MJF measured up against Tanahashi?
I think he did an excellent job. First off, I love how MJF requested the match to go first because let's be real, we all knew who the main event was. And if you don't want to go last, you want to go first. Like Brock Lesnar did. I love how MJF pulled that same card. For how MJF isn't even in his prime yet, and he can hold himself together not only on the mic but in the ring, especially with Tanahashi, who maybe people don't realize this until now. He was hurt during that match. Tanahashi. MJF pulled through with Tanahashi hurt. And I'm like, if he could have that good of a match with a beaten up Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, this guy can do anything. And I loved the match. There's plenty more that I liked better than this one, but my God, MJF, he's so talented. And as a Long Islander, he's just an inspiration, though. He really is. He's better than you, and you know it.
Dude, that was the New Yorker in you coming out. You said MJF's not in his prime. He's 27 years old.
Yeah, but in wrestling nowadays, many disagree with me on this, but I think 30 is when you really hit your prime in wrestling. Like, you know,
so too.
Like, this is why I hate it when Vince always says, you know, if he's 40 years old, he should go to manage aerial duty. LA Knight. Sorry, LA Knight. My fault. I have a little bit of a cough. My bad, guys. But yeah, 40 is the new 30. I still believe that to this day, especially in pro wrestling. But my God, if he's this good now, imagine him in another 3 years, wherever he works. I still think he signed with AEW with a new contract because, you know, when he left, there was 2 theories I had. Number one, he was hurt and they were hiding an injury for him to, heal his, injuries. The second was when he comes back, he's getting a new deal. There's no way that he would get this title unless he's on a new deal. So I'm pretty sure that will get revealed once it gets to 2024. And the bidding war, but war.
Well, I brought up this theory. It was a few months ago where MJF wins the title. Okay, he's won the title, and he's going to hold this up until like the very end. So if you remember CM Punk and John Cena's match where Punk had the WWE title, his contract was expiring. He was like, "I'm going to go take this anywhere I want to." I think they're going to run the exact same thing with MJF. And as the weeks keep getting closer and closer, Tony Khan's going to have him defend the belt more and more. And we'll get to the very end, like Winter's Coming, or maybe even the very last AEW show of the year, where MJF might be champion, or they're trying to figure out a contract with him. There's so much you can do with that storyline, because it's not a full guarantee that MJF has signed. They've not made an announcement.
I am interested to see how his feud with Adam Cole is going to turn out, which sucks. Adam Cole's match got canceled because of his illness. That sucks. I get it. I was excited to see Adam Cole because he was one of my favorite guys in the black and gold era of NXT. But it just stinks. But I'm interested to see how the feud with them goes. The funniest part with MJF, when they both figured out they were going to be tag teaming together, Cole was like, hated the fact that he was tagging with him. MJF's like, you want me to wrestle every week? What, are you out of your mind? And I'm like losing it. I dropped my popcorn on the floor, and now we got to go get a vacuum to vacuum it off. I'm like losing it.
Oh man, that's going to be interesting how that blind tag tournament goes, and they'll probably make the finals of that. And another tournament I'm expecting somebody to make the finals is the Owen Hart Cup.
Oh my God.
The second match of the night saw CM Punk beat Satoshi Kojima in the Owen Hart Cup. Yeah, it feels like a full-blown conclusion that CM Punk probably makes the finals and definitely wins this Owen Hart Cup. I'm looking at the bracket, man. It doesn't look that good, especially on the other half where you have Powerhouse Hobbs, Dustin Rhodes, Ricky Starr. Like,
yeah, I get it. Yeah, but first off, thank God Tony Khan is, started this up, and Owen Hart is back in wrestling, and the younger fans know about Owen Hart. What happened to him is just awful. And, every time I talk about Owen Hart, you have to talk about his foundation. If you haven't checked it out, go look up the Owen Hart Foundation, send a donation their way. It's a great charity Martha Hart runs. But yeah, I loved every bit of the Owen Hart Cup tournament last year. I wish Ruby Soho won over Britt Baker, but that's a little nitpick that I had on it. Like, I'm not going to complain about it. But for this year, I think it's clear CM Punk's going in the finals. Unless he wants to put over Samoa Joe, because he and Samoa Joe are really tight. And let's be real, in his side of the bracket, it's going to be Samoa Joe versus Punk. He's wanted badly to work with this guy. And worse, even if Punk, doesn't win the Owen Hart Cup, there's one other guy I would love to win, and I don't know if he's going to win it. Well, two guys. The other two I would love to win are Ricky Starks, because I think he really needs to get some wins now, and I think he's super talented. The other one that I think is kind of a hidden gem in this tournament that I kind of would love to have, I would love to have Dustin Rhodes win the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Why? Because a few reasons. Number one, he's going to be retiring at the end of the year, and I would love for him to go out on a high note. And this feels like the perfect way for him to go, him winning the Owen Hart Cup. He even was shared a locker room with Owen Hart, and they might have been close. And I just feel like it would be a feel-good story, but not. I think Punk is going to win the whole entire thing. As for his match at Forbidden Door, man, that was another great one. I love how he played off the crowd, and they're going to turn him heel. Like, Punk as a heel is no offense to Punk, he's great as a face, but Punk as a heel is the way you got to go with this. And I'm excited for him.
Well, like, Chicago cheered him, and then that reaction Saturday, he was being booed. They mentioned like Kojima's elbow drop, like hitting Punk in like the groin area. So I didn't know if that was intentional, if that was scripted. But they play it off really well, but Punk never like returned the favor. So it's like the crowd reaction, then Punk not taking full advantage of like, hey, I'm going to give this guy a receipt for what he just did. Like, I feel like they're going to turn him heel against a face elite at some point. But it's like, how are you going to get there if you're not planting the seat?
I don't know 100% if it's going to be against the elite, because you never want to hear that you have to put Kenny Omega on one side of the stadium and then Punk on the other side. It's just not a great thing. I would love for it to happen. Would it shock me if it didn't happen? No. But as for it being intentional, I'm not so sure, because we don't know if the whole Adam Page one was intentional as well, when they had their beef in their fight, and they had a whole debate on it. But I just think this was like, I don't know, maybe it was a rib on Punk, for that. But who knows? Who cares? Who let the dogs out? This match was awesome. I like where Punk's going, and the fact that he received boos is just, I love it. And I love how he basically pulled a Hulk Hogan, who's basically banned from AEW for obvious reasons, because
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, about the guy deserves it too. No offense to Hulk, bro, but you kind of deserve to get banned from AEW. But
Yeah.
him doing the leg drop, him doing the Hulk Hogan taunt, it was perfect heel heat because he's the antithesis of AEW. Tiny hints. That's what I love about AEW, the details. That's what I love about it. The storytelling. Even with me in video games, I love storytelling. Can't wait for that AEW Fight Forever game to come out. That's going to be on standby.
That's tomorrow. That's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I can't wait. What sucks is I'm going to be on a flight trying to catch like 4 connecting flights, which sucks.
Dude.
But yeah, when I land, I'm getting my hands on that game, and whatever console is available for me at the hotel or whoever has one, I'm playing it. I don't care where it is. I'll take an off day. I will be playing that game.
Dude, fans are excited for that game, and are probably excited to play as their fan favorite Orange Cassidy, who retained the international title against Zack Sabre Jr., Dan Garcia, and Shibata. Dude, I think it was like 11 minutes. It was a very underrated 4-way match in 11 minutes. And you mentioned AEW dropping hints. Like, I think they dropped hints for each wrestler to have a one-on-one rematch with Orange Cassidy. Of those three, of Shibata, Sabre Jr., and Garcia, who do you want to challenge Cassidy in a one-on-one match?
I would love to go all 3 of these because they are all great. I'm going to go with 2 that I think is more likely. The most likely one's Daniel Garcia because he's already signed with AEW. And we all know Daniel Garcia kind of needs to, start doing something because he's kind of been a bit on the downhill. And I kind of would love to see him do more. And he needs to hold the title, bro. That dude is talented. He needs to hold the title now. But for me, I'm a big Zack Sabre Jr. fan. I want to see him face Orange Cassidy because Orange Cassidy, the most underrated pro wrestler in this company, because he pulled an amazing match with Will Ospreay. Again, it's Will Ospreay, but Cassidy impressed me so much. I loved his matches with Pac. It was one of my favorite things starting up. I love the character. He's got everything. He's got the tools you need. And I would think him and Zack Sabre Jr. alone would be so awesome. I don't know if it's going to happen because I'm pretty sure Zack Sabre Jr. is still signed with New Japan. But I think what's more likely out of the 3 is we're going to see a match with Daniel Garcia again. But to me, I would absolutely, it has to be next year they put Zack Sabre Jr. against him. He's that talented.
Well, I thought that's what the direction was this year, and then they add Garcia, then they add Shibata, and I'm like, I'm not hating this because all those guys can go, but I feel like Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre's like styles would fit. Like Zack Sabre puts you in a hold, and it would just be the most Orange Cassidy thing ever for him to nonchalantly like get out of the hold. Like that's a moment you could capture on screen that could live forever. That was that would be awesome. I agree full-heartedly. Like Zack Sabre Jr., Orange Cassidy. Well, talking about moments that live on a picture, Sonata defended the IWGP Heavyweight title against Jungle Boy, and everybody pretty much knew it was a foregone conclusion Sonata would win. A lot of people were questioning why Jungle Boy's in that spot rather than anyone else on AEW's roster. Well, he needed a pillar match that like defined him. But it wasn't the match that defined him. It was the moments later where Jungle Boy turns heel against Hook, clotheslines him, and now Jungle Boy is a full-fledged heel.
Thank God he needed this. He needed this.
I had thoughts on the heel turn being like mid, to quote MJF. What did you think of like the heel turn itself?
First off, this should have happened months ago. I get why they turned Luchasaurus is so awesome, man. I loved his heel turn. He reminds me so much of Kane.
Back in like 05.
Yeah, especially with his theme. It sounds so similar to his old theme. I'm like, oh, awesome. It's just a shame he got in that lawsuit with his mask and he had to like take time away from television. And I'm like, oh, it just sucks. But I just think that Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, should have turned heel months ago. I wish him and Luchasaurus turned heel. They built them up as heels because they needed a change. I loved how Christian was, feuding against him. It was great, but in the end, Christian won. He got what he wanted. Jungle Boy turned heel. It was perfect. I would love for him and Christian and Jungle Boy to, be face to face. I'm like, I like the intent, have another confrontation saying, you should have listened to me months ago. Now you know the next step or something like that. But Jungle Boy needed this because I'll be real, even though like I loved Jungle Boy, especially with the crowd, they got his music. He needed something because he's great in the ring. Mike Wise, he kind like he claims that he kind of stutters, and so does MJF. He said that as well, which was hilarious. But he needed something. And I just think, I don't know if they're ever going to do this with him. I think he needs a manager. I really think that he needs a manager. Could that be Christian? Probably not, because it wouldn't make sense. But
well, I think the opposite. Like, I think you were skirting around and then putting Christian back with Jungle Boy. All you need is that little confrontation of like, all right, you're seeing the light. I'm proud of you. Christian hugs him like a proud father would. And then Jungle Boy like starts to associate himself and have a heel Jurassic Express with Luchasaurus. Like that could happen. I'm just very deflated about how he turned heel. Like just clotheslining Hook
on it.
Like you could have literally like thrown Hook against the screen. You could have thrown him off the stage. You could have finished it. Like, but there was no like, ooh, this is legit.
Yeah. I get that. I love the signs they put, like when Sonata basically said, "Who's Jungle Boy Jack Perry?" And his response on social media. I'm like, oh yeah, they're turning him heel. Against Hook though, I get because Hook's, fun fact, I used to go to school with Hook in high school. I never met him. I never, said I was just a high buy thing. I was doing my own business. I wanted to get out of high school because I hated it. But I found out a while ago, he was going to go into pro wrestling because I didn't realize at the time his father was Taz. I'm like, my God, that's awesome. Good for him. But if he's listening to this, Tyler, congratulations, pal. But, I kind of, what match I would love to see if they're going to go the Hook and Jungle Boy route? I would love to see Danhausen face off against Jungle Boy. Would love that because when Danhausen basically feuded, like, I love Danhausen's gimmick when he was in Ring of Honor before he like snapped his leg. I just think he was. If you make Jim Cornette like you, you're on to something. And he's good in the ring when healthy. He really is good in the ring when healthy. And you could have, maybe even have Jungle Boy like want to like attack him every week and say, mind game with Hook because you need to get mind games to get through Hook. Or if not, Jungle Boy would be a great person to take that championship off of. Hook, because I'll be real, that title that Hook has held, it's kind of been like paperweight, When's the last time he defended it? I can't remember, honestly.
It's literally like $1 million title that Ted DiBiase would carry around. Like that's why I think of the FTW title. It's a fake title. It's not one where you win it and then you get stripped of because you started a brawl out backstage.
I would love for them to put that title on the line and have it mean, because the one thing I'll say about AEW, there's too many titles. They have to kind of cut down on the titles,
or have this hard brand split.
Ooh, have a real brand split this time. Show them how it's really done. No offense, Vince, if you're watching this, probably not because you're busy booking the show for some reason. But
he's not booking the show.
Yes, he is. He's booking the show. Vince is booking the show. I am convinced he's booking the show.
No, here's what's happening. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's part of the Wrestling Wednesday card on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Vince is like chilling. He's probably like drinking, probably hitting on, a couple of his young interns. And then Friday at about 7:00 Eastern, he sees the script and he's like, this isn't it. We're changing it. This isn't good. This isn't good stuff. And he's going to change the script while Triple H right now is writing the script for 3 weeks in advance because that's how he does business.
Yeah. Probably, but listen, if Vince is back, you know how power hungry he is, and when this deal fully kicks in with UFC, I still think he's gonna get a ton more power than he originally got. I hope that's not true because I love what Triple H did. I love the NXT Gold and Black brand. I watched it religiously when I had the network. It was
Yeah.
so awesome. I had a ton of memorable moments watching it, but we'll see what happens there. I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
No, it's all good. It's wrestling talk, man. I could go on this for hours. We'll talk about Money in the Bank here in a second. But the Elite and Tomohiro Ishii back to AEW Forbidden Door beat the Blackpool Combat Club, Takeshita, and Shota Umino in a 10-man tag match. I don't think there was a lot here. I mean, it's a 20-minute match. It just feels like another chapter in the Elite and BCC story. But the real thing was like, Eddie Kingston took the bullet for Jon Moxley on a move. It didn't end the match. It was like midway through, but they never re-brought that up. I don't know if that was like Eddie Kingston had like a brain fart in the ring, and everybody's like, what is he doing? Like, he's not on
Yeah,
Moxley's list.
yeah.
Or I don't know what's going on there. Do you make much of that?
I think it's long-term booking is one of my favorite parts about AEW is their long-term booking's been excellent. I mean, WWE's gotten better with the Bloodline storyline, which is the best thing, not only in pro wrestling, but on TV right now. Do not at me for anyone watching a TV show.
Don't at him.
This is the best thing going on TV with the Bloodline storyline. But I love how they're, because Moxley and Eddie Kingston, remember that like barbed wire match before, at the ending, it got all messed up. It was going to basically be mired like Terry Funk and Atsushi Onita from FMW, which, if you haven't watched that match, the FMW one with Onita and Funk, watch it. It made me love Onita. And this was where the Dark Side of the Ring episode came out about him. I watched that religiously for so long. I'm like, it got me into deathmatch wrestling. It got me into explore more into like the Nick Gage world. Got me to watch GCW with Matt Cardona. I'm like, golly, and even David Arquette versus Nick Gage made me laugh a few times.
I watched Nick Gage versus George South
in a
death match live last November, and it was like I was like fourth, fifth row, and it was like, what am I watching?
It's amazing Nick Gage is still alive today, especially when he had that match with Thumbtack Jack and like the thing of glass went into his armpit, which is the most terrifying. He legit died and like flatlined for, I think, was it 9 minutes? I don't know, but it's crazy, man. Like how that dude is still alive. And
He'll come up and do the same thing next week.
I was popping when that man faced Chris Jericho, who's like my idol. I loved Chris Jericho.
I was there live for that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was
my god, that would have been so fun.
Coliseum. That was the main event, and the intro match was like the Elite versus Hangman and the Dark Order. And if Hangman had won, he would have gotten a shot at King's title. But
that match. Oh god, they bring me memories. I remembered when they showed the awesome entrance and they had a blank light that was, a memory of Brody Lee. I'm like, oh god, you're gonna make me tear up seeing that because I still miss Brody Lee, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
That was also the night where Darby had his promo backstage, issuing an open challenge for All Out, only if you're the best in the world. And that place, the Bojangles Coliseum, just popped, and we were like, oh my gosh, we were here when, that was the drop.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into Darby Allin later, but man, that dude is, if you combine Jeff Hardy, the Dynamite Kid, and Mick Foley together. Oh my god! But I will tell you one thing though. I've noticed something. When I look at the crowd, because the Elite was in this matchup, especially with Adam Page, and they love the Elite more than they did with Punk, and it was noticeable. And I get that for two reasons. One, they're EVPs; they're going to want to make themselves look better. Get the better spot, get this. And people support the Elite and support Kenny Omega, which I support Kenny Omega because, I don't even know why Ace Steel was even brought back to begin with and why he's still employed, but that's a different conversation on its own.
Part of me thinks a big part of this is scripted. People can go back and listen to my take a couple weeks ago on this, But I'm gonna skip over this Tony Storm and Willow Nightingale match just because it's like,
Yeah, nothing much there. But I will say one thing though: Willow Nightingale is she is so talented. And Tony Storm, I've always loved, and I hated the way they used her in WWE. But there's really not much to talk about with that match.
Yeah.
There really wasn't.
Very, very impressive with Willow, like in the last year, getting her stuff. But there'd be time, but we only have so much to cover in like 50, 55
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah,
might as well go to like one of the matches of the night.
Oh, the match of the year or the decade or the century, it's, oh my God.
I want to challenge this so bad.
This match was awesome, man.
It was. The match we're referencing is Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega for the IW.
The number one versus the number two pro wrestler in the world.
Everybody's saying this is match of the night or match of the year. Okay, as great as this was, I don't think this was match of the year.
Which one is?
It was the Wrestle Kingdom match, Omega versus Ospreay.
Oh, that one was so great too.
I mean,
you're gonna make me regret my statement, bro.
Dude, I feel like if more people watched Wrestle Kingdom and watched their first match, like that was nuts. And granted, like Forbidden Door was just as crazy. And it was so hard for everybody else to follow up with that, and we knew it would. But man, their Wrestle Kingdom match set the bar so high that I don't know if, dude, I almost put that above Taker Michaels WrestleMania 25.
Oh, that was a great match too, but this match had everything that I've always wanted. First off, can we give Kenny Omega a lifetime contract, bro? Like, give him everything. Give him the max money. Give him this. The fact that this guy was able to come back with the insane amount of injuries he had, especially with his title run, and he still pull off banger after banger, coming back, having banger after banger, taking a tiger bomb, which was perfectly nailed. Do not at me, everyone on Twitter. That was perfectly nailed. Stop saying, oh, this is going to break his neck, blah, 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 blah. Stop. This was taken perfectly. But the one thing that got me, getting goosebumps, kind of make me go, was the moment when Will Ospreay licked Kenny Omega's blood off his arm. That was like, oh my God.
Dude, there were several moments. I was like, wow, Ospreay hit the one winged angel, and then Omega kicked out at 1. I was like,
I know Will Ospreay, I think he said in an interview he doesn't want to live in America, man, but I still think
a lot of money over here.
Not only that, I think he should stay in Japan, bro. He's such a great fit with Japan, being the face there. But he would make so much money if he goes to the Americas. But it's a real commitment if you want to work in AEW or WWE. If because I think you got to really that was a problem. Walter, or Gunther as they call him now. That's why he stayed in NXT UK, because he didn't want to move to the United States. Now times changed, and he got married to Ginny, which was another NXT wrestler, and he moved into United States. And history, he's going to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, not called the Honky Tonk Man, But
he might be the greatest Intercontinental Champion.
So I every time I say that, I have to say, because the Honky Tonk Man created that. He created that whole greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
I'm going to challenge you that later on. But when do you think the rubber match between Omega and Ospreay happens? Because it has to happen.
Yes.
Who would win?
Golly. That's a tough one. There's a part of me that wants to say Ospreay because he's younger, and his body. He legit said in interviews that his body's starting to decline as well. But man, I hope Kenny Omega is just so great too, and I need him to be Ospreay because I think he's the greatest ever that's stepped foot today. But oh my God, I'm leaning towards Ospreay though. I am leaning towards Ospreay. But things change, I don't know what's going to happen in a year. This may be the final, depending on how Omega's, because I think Omega's contract is also up soon. It got time added, but he may be WWE bound, which please do not go to
I hope
WWE.
not. I hope not.
Do
But
not.
now they've pretty much announced that CM Punk and MJF will be like the all-in main event in Wembley Stadium.
Which it has to be. It has to be.
That would be a perfect night to have the trilogy of Omega Ospreay.
Oh boy.
If you're not doing Punk FTR versus the Elite, that's where you need to go with that.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. But I hope that I like the video game Fight Forever. You guys are awesome. I tweeted you guys this. Thank you guys for everything. You sacrifice your bodies in the ring. You guys are awesome. Golly, this is gonna be basically what Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask was back in like the old days. God.
Dude. You know your stuff. Dude, anytime I get to talk to a wrestling fan, like they know their stuff too. It's just it's like
this could be Bret Hart Stone. Yeah, this could be like what the Attitude Era's Rock versus Stone Cold was. The trilogy they had there. Bret Hart, and Mr. Perfect, which was an awesome trilogy. I love every single one of their matches, and it impresses me that Mr. Perfect performed that well with a messed up back, which is crazy. I still think the King of the Ring match was their best match, in my opinion. But golly, I could go on and on about this, but man, there were so many trilogies that I've loved watching. You could probably, it's awesome.
There's been some pretty good ones. We got a couple more matches on Forbidden Door card before we go to Money in the Bank. One of them was the 6-man tag, Sting, Darby Allin, and Tetsuya Naito beating the Lazuki gods. It was Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho, and Minoru Suzuki. This match was 15 minutes long. I'm struggling with this one because you can't follow up Ospreay versus Omega.
And I will say this: they did a good job. Why? We got Chris Jericho versus Sting for the first time. That holds it up, and they did very well. First off, we got Joker Sting back. I loved Joker Sting in TNA. Go back and watch the entire thing. I remember when Sting pretended he ran the entire company for a little bit, and I forgot who he was talking to, but I think that Karen Jarrett and Karen Jarrett was like, "You're crazy," and I love Sting's like, "Thank you very much, Karen." It was the funniest thing.
Dude, especially when I was younger, I thought he was actually just the general manager out of nowhere. He was that good at the character.
Oh my god! And then when he left the entire thing, Eric Bischoff was sitting there, and he just had a bird in there, making sure he doesn't go out and tell Hulk Hogan he was. It was the funniest thing ever.
So you were okay with where this match got placed between?
Yeah, I was fine with it. It was going to be hard to come after the amazing 5-star match we just saw, but I think they did a good job with how well it did. Even Darby Allin, who is, like I said, if you take Mankind, Mick Foley, Dynamite Kid, and you sprinkle in a little Jeff Hardy, and that's what you get. Darby Allin right there. Naito was, Naito's kind of fallen off for where Jericho and Naito first, feuded, but he did an awesome job. Minoru Suzuki's always great. Say what you want about, Sammy Guevara, but my God, he is super talented. And he's crazy. This dude is the stuff I've seen him do, especially that jump onto Sting, which I think he kind of nailed Sting on a little too much. He's crazy. This guy can jump anywhere. He's such a daredevil. And again, I haven't gone personally with this. Congrats, Sammy, on you and Tay having a kid soon. That's an amazing thing.
That's pretty awesome. He announced it, and then MJF wins with a headlock takeover that Fatal 4-Way at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view.
MJF is awesome. He is my king. As a Long Islander, he is my king. We worship him here.
Well, as long as you don't worship the Giants, you're decent in my book. Speaking of just decent in my book, just decent. You have the main event. You have Bryan Danielson, Kazuchika Okada. I mean, just decent, right?
Hey, the
Nah.
final countdown got played, bro. I've been begging for that for so
That
long.
was so hype.
Oh
Dad's
my
like,
god! I don't care how much Tony Khan. I respect you so much. I love you owning the Jacksonville Jaguars, owning AEW. My favorite things on earth. You are the best person alive. You are a made man in my lifetime. You are awesome. I can't believe you got this thing. I don't care how much you paid. You care about the fans. I love you so much, Mr. Khan. And I also love Shahid Khan too. He's cool as well.
dude, it was like Dad walked out of the room while we were watching it, and the final countdown went on. I'm like, no way. And Dad's like, what's happening? What's happening? I'm like, Dad, he did it. He's like, what? It might wait till you get back in here. I'm like, this was his old theme, and Tony Khan spent a lot of money on it. I was almost in tears.
Oh my! I was in tears, bro. Like I said, when I went to go get my second round of popcorn, this time I had a little bit of butter on it. I spilled it again. I was jumping for joy, jumping on the kernels all over the place, and I had to use a rag while I was watching the matchup. But my God, it was awesome. The final countdown was played, and I'm like, this is why we love pro wrestling, man. Even a simple song that was played in the Ring of Honor days during the 2000s, not the 2010s, because in 2010 he was in WWE. This was so long ago, and we got it. And I'm like, against Okada of all people too. I'm like, but the thing I will say, when I saw that and I heard that, I'm like, oh, Daniel Bryan's winning. I'm sorry, Bryan Danielson is winning.
Oh, so you weren't even surprised by it?
No. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, he's winning.
So,
The same thing when the Lucha Brothers faced against the Young Bucks and they came out live to what's his face singing, and they had
Carry On My Wayward Son.
Yes. No. This was the Lucha Brothers when they came out in the steel cage match. This was in like All In, I think it was.
Yeah, it was last year's All Out.
Or All Out, either or. But the match I was talking about, when they came out to that live entrance, they were doing the whole Penta thing. Everyone in the back were coming out.
Okay.
When they came out, like, oh, they're winning. This is too cool. They're winning, and I love the Lucha Bros all the time, bro. Penta and
met both of them, by the way. Phoenix, my dad's favorite wrestler, and we were at the Starcast last year in Nashville for Ric Flair's last match. And
woo!
Dude, what a time, what a weekend. And we were there, and Phoenix like allows me and my brother to take a selfie with them. And my brother mentions like, hey, you're like my dad's favorite like current wrestler. My dad's favorites are Ric Flair and Ray Phoenix because Dad watched Lucha Underground, saw Phoenix running across the top rope one time. He's like, that's it. Like, that's the guy. And Phoenix is like, really? He's like, come over here. So me and my brother just could get a selfie with him. My dad has a full-blown picture with Ray Phoenix. I'm just like, what the heck?
Oh, bro. I remembered when I used to work UBS Arena, AEW was hosting Dynamite, and I see the Lucha Brothers, the Bunny, the Butcher, the Blade, they were eating. I didn't want to bother them. I was working the suite, business is business. I was standing outside the door. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. I didn't say anything. I didn't freak out. Business is business. And we were running an event. I was running a suite. And when they were gone, they left the glove, and one of the guys, producers, handed the glove. I handed the glove back to him, and I guess he got it. I'm not sure. I don't know. It was like an old glove. I don't know. Whatever they do backstage, they do backstage. It's not my problem. I'm just working the thing. It was so awesome, though. Just to see them, to see the ring, bro. It was awesome. God, I love AEW, bro. For this match with Okada and Danielson, was it a disappointment? To me, no. I still loved the match, but it impresses me that Bryan Danielson wrestled this match with a broken freaking arm and did this well against Okada, who's in my top 5 current wrestlers right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, amazing. As for long term with that injury, I'll say this. I don't think it's going to affect the current plans if he's truly out 68 weeks, because Danielson basically doesn't have as many dates in the ring as like other people do, like as Wheeler Yuta does, as Konosuke Takeshita, who's, my God, give that man a belt too. Takeshita, he's talented. But
Man, you were complaining about all the titles in AEW. Now it's like, give this one a belt, give that
no,
one a
no,
belt.
no. And you know what I mean. If there's one guy I would love Orange Cassidy to lose that title to, it would be Konosuke Takeshita. That would be the guy.
That would be a pretty solid one.
Yeah, but I love Takeshita, man. He's great. But as for Danielson, I think what they're gonna have him do is he's gonna recover from his arm injury. He'll be away for a little bit, healing, probably be with his family. Or maybe do commentary just like he's done with many Blackpool Combat Club matches with William Regal when he was there. But I don't think it's gonna truly too much effect unless we hear like, oh, he had a setback with his injury. But I've seen the X-rays. The X-rays got out. I think Brie Bella like put it out. Which, by the way, my God, he's the winner of all life. The fact that Bryan Danielson got Brie Bella, but he is the winner of all life, bro. I mean, come on. But when I saw the X-rays that with his arm, I'm like, my God, this arm was like, I don't even know how he did it. I remember when I broke my arm. I was lying on the floor crying. I was begging for the ice machine to come over to dump ice on the arm. It sucked.
And the Mia scrum, it was like no big deal. And this was still a good match. I think this is match of the night if Omega Ospreay doesn't happen. But again, kudos to Tony Khan for stacking the card. And now we turn the page to Money in the Bank, where WWE has a lot of shoes to fill after AEW's weekend. Last weekend, we got about 15 minutes left on the show, so we got to
hit damn.
These,
sorry, guys.
Dude, I mean, hey, AEW's at fault because of a good pay-per-view that warranted.
Thank you, Tony Khan. We love you.
Yes, like WWE needs this kind of pay-per-view this weekend. This will be the first major event in London since 2002.
This is the Big Five too, so they gotta do something here.
Like they've got a good pay-per-view. Drew McIntyre's not on the show as of now. Contract disputes going on.
And I think his sister-in-law died too, which is another reason why he like I read something like a family member of his like that was close died and like he took time off. That people forget about that. It's not because of the contract stuff. I think this is more because like a family member of his died and he's taking time off to grieve, which my thoughts and prayers go out to Drew and his family. But could it be contract reasons? Yeah, like someone in his family died. I think it was his like sister-in-law. I don't know, but I do know someone in his family died, and it was around the time the contract stuff kicked off. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I'm take care of your family, Drew. Take as much time as you need because it sucks losing family members.
Yeah. That's awful. So yeah, Drew McIntyre not slated to be on this show. He pushed really hard for Money in the Bank to happen. And again, we got rapid fire this card. We can start out with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos, the Bloodline Civil War. It's amazing how we've gotten to this point with the Civil War match. It's amazing how this Bloodline story has transpired. It's taken a lot of time up on Drop the Mic just because of how good the story is. What do you think needs to happen this Sunday or this Saturday at 3:00 in London to continue to progress this story?
Oh boy, if it was me, I would give Roman and Sikoa the win here because first off, Solo Sikoa needs a win. He's been on a bit of a losing streak, and I just feel like unless they want to have the Usos win and then you have Solo Sikoa break away from Roman, which I would save until SummerSlam to have Solo Sikoa break from Roman. But you got to give Roman and Solo a win here because Roman's been not Roman, but Solo's been losing. He could use a win. And I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to see Solo Sikoa get the pin here. And Roman be impressed, giving him the hug, making him the new made man. They move on to next week. But that's how I would do it. But, I'm not the brightest person. I'm a good dude, but there are much higher people up there. That's my idea of how to do it. I've had some good ones. I've had some bad ones.
I'd rather you get the little pen and write it out instead of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So here, I'll give you this pen. You can take that to the bank with you.
I only have a pencil on me, so I'll just take this pencil.
Well, if you're getting penciled, they can.
Here's a pen. Here's a pen. Here's a pen. Here's a pen.
Yes, he got the pen.
Boom! Let's go.
Solo gets the pin. Nick gets the pin. We're all done.
There we go.
That's going to be a good match. That probably main events the entire show.
Has to.
I mean, why not? It's the best story in wrestling right now.
If not have a money, if it were me, I would have a Money in the Bank start and then end, the pay-per-view. But no, worse for worse. If this doesn't main event the Money in the Bank, you have to put Roman there. This is the best thing going on television, not in pro wrestling. Television.
Absolutely.
Period.
And the man a lot of people thought would dethrone Roman at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes, is wrestling a guy who has so much heat, probably the most heat in all of wrestling. Dominic Mysterio, Cody versus Dom. I don't know who wins.
Well, first off, you talk about a tremendous fall, bro. Cody has fallen. He should. I don't care what's going on with this Bloodline story. He should have won at WrestleMania. Cody should have won. That was me.
No.
Cody should have. His momentum has gone down so much. It really has. I don't really like the way they've been using Cody. I've hated the stuff they've done with Brock. I get why they're booking him versus Brock as a kind of sort of dream match.
By the way,
but I am not a big fan of it. I kind of wish he was doing. I just hated the way they've handled Cody. It's definitely disappointing. You gotta say that.
It's just no, you're so wrong on this one.
I don't think
Cody's doing a redemption story right now.
I just don't think he needed the redemption story, in my opinion. I don't. If it were me, the person who I would have take the belt off of Roman would be Jey Uso. That would be the guy I would have take off the belt because it makes sense storyline. I would have said Sami Zayn, but if the time was to do that, it was Elimination Chamber. But it's going to be Jey Uso. If it's Cody, that's fine with me. But I would love to say he wins here, but I got a bold thing. I said I got some bold picks. I'm going to give the win to Dominic Mysterio here. If you want to continue this momentum drop, Dom would be perfect, because it's sort of like people are like Dominic is like the lower guy, but even though he's got an insane amount of heat, they've handled Dominic so well throughout his entire career. Even though the tag team stuff with his father got a little too long and a little bland at the end, but when he turned and joined the Judgment Day, they've handled him so much better. So much better. So if it was me, Dominic gets the win, capitalize off the heat, and maybe even, he moves on to, continue on this momentum, maybe gets another title for him, whether it's the U.S. title or a Continental title. I don't care which title because the brand split means nothing, Vince. You did a terrible job with this brand split. It's not even a brand split. And I hate how they market free agents as, they just go to NXT and they're free agents. But then assign these guys to NXT if you're going to put them in NXT. Don't just call them free agents. Come on.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. I think it's very interesting to think that Dom wins. I could see that with Rhea Ripley helping him out. But does Finn Balor beat Seth Rollins and take the World Heavyweight title? I don't think so.
That would depend. That would. Well, here's what I think is going to happen. It will depend on how the match card type goes. Like if let's just say Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, go first, which I think it would be a terrible idea. If it were me, it would go in the mid card. Like in the mid card. But if let's just say Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, starts right away, and Finn gets pissed off, or like something like where Cody Rhodes bumps into him and starts a feud with Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes, I would be okay with that. Dominic is not the leader of the Judgment Day. Sort of build off of that. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think if Dominic wins or loses, the guy's done a fantastic job. I don't think it's going to completely hurt his momentum too much, but we'll see. I think Dominic wins though. Would it shock me if he doesn't? No, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So I still want to take Cody.
I don't blame you.
Rollins. I'll take Rollins on that one. You hated, by the way, on Intercontinental Champion Gunther. He's got to be brittle.
I hate the name, but yeah, Gunther's winning. He's gonna get. I hate the name, especially when he was originally called, which is absolutely disgraceful. If you guys know the story of what he was originally going to be called, Pisses me off to this day. But pardon my French. But when I watch this, Gunther or Walter, I love to call him Walter, but he's Gunther. He is awesome in what he's done. I love that they brought Imperium back. Even though Alexander Wolf is never going to come back because I think he's older, and I don't think they're going to sign guys because they just sold the company, and they've been avoiding signing guys for a bit. I just love what they've done with him, and Riddle doesn't really come across as a great guy from stories I've heard of Matt Riddle from his UFC days to out of the ring. He doesn't come across great. He's great in the ring. No, I won't deny him that, but no, there's no way he should be beating Gunther here. No way. And could Randy Orton return? Maybe. I could see that happening because I heard he might be returning soon. But huge. If it were me, I would have Gunther win this match clean, move on, and then out of nowhere you have, maybe Imperium attack Riddle. Riddle, gets saved by Randy Orton. They have RK Bro versus Imperium, and then at SummerSlam you do the turn there. Because RK Bro was amazing. Like the merch was being sold, and even though I'm not a Riddle guy myself, like out of the ring, I think he comes across awful in a lot of situations he's been in, but he's so talented in the ring, and it's clear they're behind him. And I'm glad he's gotten his personal stuff taken care of, which I don't want to see him, I just want to see him be healthy, and I want him to be fine. But even though he didn't come across great, I'm just glad he's good. But I would love for Randy Orton to come back, do a nice feud with him, and I end the story. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how to go Jeff Hardy route on us.
With the screwdriver in the ear.
There's a women's tag: Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. Who cares? Because it's Money in the Bank. We got to talk about these.
No. Who cares about the women's titles? There's no competition. There's no every tag team switches. I swear this is like the 10th tag team Raquel Rodriguez or Gonzalez, as she should be called. This has got to be the 10th tag team she's been a part of. I've lost count. I don't care if Liv Morgan's returned and everything. They're going to keep that title on Ronda and Shayna Baszler. Thank goodness Shayna's got a title now, because I hated the way they utilized her when she came in after WrestleMania. That was just still annoys me to this day. But they're going to keep that title on Ronda and Shayna. There's not much else to say. I'm sorry. I just don't care about this. The tag team for the women's tag team matches. Ronda's great in the ring. I don't care. On the mic, she's kind of 50-50. But in the ring, for how she did in UFC and MMA and all that, she's she really is.
Yeah, she's adjusted really well. We got a couple more minutes left on this Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast. And so I'm going to list out the women's and men's briefcases and see who wins. For women's, we got Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. Yes, the year is 2023. And then the men's, we got LA Knight. Yeah. Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, Damian Priest, Santos Escobar, Butch, and Logan Paul. Who are you expecting to see in these? There's a couple storylines here, like how long will the women's winner actually hold on to the briefcase? They don't usually hold on to it super long. What is Logan Paul inserted in this match to have him win it?
They better not. There's three possible winners I see here though. One's Logan Paul, which I've never liked Logan Paul. In the ring he's great, but Logan Paul's just, bro, I'm sorry. Even though your drink's great and I love you in KSI boxing, you don't come across well, and you can't ignore the stuff he's done off, off out of the ring, especially with the whole scam stuff he did and the other controversies we're not going to get into. But he's in riddle of guys who don't come across well. But I could see them have him go on, use the briefcase. He's in his, vlogs, which I don't watch vlogs myself. I don't watch anything he's in unless it's pro wrestling. He could go everywhere and anywhere with it. He owns a Prime, which I tried Prime one time. Mediocre.
Stop.
But here's the other two.
Thank you. Okay.
Here's the other two. Here's the other two that I see. One is LA Knight, which in my heart I want him to win badly because the man deserves it. But here's my pick. I'm gonna go with Damian Priest winning this briefcase. I think it makes a lot of sense. Maybe you have the men's Money in the Bank first, him holding the briefcase, and then you have then afterwards you do Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, and tease a little bit of maybe I could cash in here, or if he wins, little bit of signs of him, breaking the Judgment Day. And I think this is a well-deserved reward for everything he did with Bad Bunny. He was brilliant in that. But so yeah, if I were to rank them in the order I want to have happen, or I think it's going to be number 1, Damian Priest. Number 2 is going to be LA Knight, and number 3 is going to be you know who.
I don't even like thinking about that because I have a bet right now that I might not even host my own wrestling podcast if Logan Paul wins. And now it's a reality after last week when Logan Paul was announced. I would absolutely hate it. I really love Damian Priest's idea. I think also like so many people want LA Knight to win. So London could erupt if LA Knight wins, or they could have even more of a reason to boo Judgment Day if Damian Priest actually wins Money in the Bank and pushes LA Knight off. That would
the only other dark horse guy I could see winning this is Pete Dunne. I'm not calling him Butch. I hate that he's called Butch. Pete Dunne is the only dark horse I could see potentially winning, because Sheamus has complained about the booking the Brawling Brutes have had, and maybe toss him the briefcase, to make Sheamus happy. But I still think if it were me making the pick, if I had to flip a coin, I'd go Damian Priest.
And for the women's, like I could see Becky, Zoe, or Trish winning the Money in the Bank, but part of me really wants Io Sky to win it.
I have 2 that I think is going to win this. Either Bayley or Io Sky. Those are the 2 that make the most sense to me, because Damage Control has been a complete flop when they, combined Io Sky,
Dakota Kai.
I know she's hurt right now, and Bayley. Their breakup is coming, and you have to give it to one of them, or have Io Sky reach for the briefcase, Bayley pushes her off, or vice versa, swap them around. Io Sky wins it, and then when Dakota Kai's healthy, have her be like the deciding factor, the peace offer. Try to keep Damage Control, and maybe you do a triple threat with the briefcase. I don't know. Well, who knows? But point is, I'm going Io Sky, and I beg of WWE, men's and women's, do not have anyone cash in on a minor league title, like a U.S. title, Intercontinental title, stuff like that. Do not do that. If I see that one more time, I will flip, because I hated how they did it with Austin Theory. I thought it was stupid they put the briefcase on Austin Theory to begin with. And when he lost that briefcase to Rollins, who I think had the U.S. title, I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding.
Dude, it literally destroyed Money in the Bank. And now we have an opportunity this weekend to reestablish the credibility of Money in the Bank, both women's and men's. Get it right if Triple H is booking the show. But
I hope so.
We need it. If so, Logan Paul's not winning, so I'm super happy.
This pay-per-view will be telling. That'll say, if like they make bizarre choices in this pay-per-view,
yeah,
like if they give Logan Paul the briefcase, which I think is the worst decision ever, or if they have like I don't know, something strange, or like they throw impromptu matches, because that's something Vince loves to do on a pay-per-view. Like he loves throwing impromptu matches, or this pay-per-view will be telling. I still think Vince has a big say, because he's changing scripts on Raw and SmackDown, and I didn't think Raw was any great last week. Yes, the last Raw I saw. Yeah, and SmackDown is just the Bloodline. If the Bloodline wasn't there, SmackDown would be awful.
It would be pretty bad. Nick, we are against the hour. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Drop the Mic Wrestling. Follow our Facebook page. Thanks, Nicholas, so much for stopping by for Drop the Mic for the very first time. You were on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis last week. Reminder, Out of Pocket's going to be live Friday at 4 on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel, WWBG 1470 AM. Don't forget to subscribe to the Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. And whatever you do, don't drop the mic. We will see you all next week. Yeah.
Yeah.